Sure can.
All right, great. And Judy, I'm glad you're on too, because you will be able to hopefully answer some questions. Jessica was on a call with me, so she's switching over too. And again, if anybody from Florida is on, this really is meant for just Dotloo, but of course you can listen in on the information as well. But app files in Florida does work a little bit differently. So let me switch my view here real quick to an office. Okay, so Testimonial Tree. We're going to learn more about it tomorrow on BlueSync, and again, even more on Monday when we have our training with Testimonial Tree. But it does work on a API, a feed from Dotloop. And what that does is it automates the testimonial request to the consumer, buyer or seller, whoever it might be. So it's automatically going to send them a request for a 5-star review from the agents for their behalf. And then from there, it will automate over to their Moxie sites. It'll automate over to their Realtor.com sites, and it will ask the consumer to then go to either Zillow or their Facebook page or their Google page and leave a review there as well. So we're pretty excited about Testimonial Tree. A couple agents have asked if this is more like a sales call, that they have to purchase something. It is not. The Schmidt family of companies is providing this testimonial platform to the agents just as part of their technology package. It's a startup company out of Florida. We've had really good feedback. Some of our agents have used it at previous brokers, really like the product, so we're pretty excited about it. So we are going to ask your help just to make that sure that Dotloop is operating the way it should be so that it will feed through to Testimonial Tree properly to trigger those testimonial requests. So first off, we did notice 2 offices in Michigan actually had an issue with their filters not being the same. So if you click on your filters and you come here and it does not look like the screenshot that was sent out, whereas you don't have, and actually this one is one of those that doesn't have the same one. If you don't have the filters that you think that you need to do this, please reach out. There are some changes that we can make. So if you don't have filters for listing needs review or contact needs review, you can shoot me a note and we'll get with Dotloop to get that corrected. Let me just switch offices here real quick.
Hey, Carrie, I have a quick question about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, we're on mine where it says buying and listing, it says needs review, but it doesn't say listing needs reviewed, buying needs reviewed. It just says needs reviewed. Is that the same thing?
Is there anybody else on Ohio on? I believe that's how Ohio's is set up, Michelle.
Okay, so I did it right then. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. So this particular office has listings need review and contract needs review. So anything that's out there that hasn't been reviewed yet, maybe your notifications weren't set up right, maybe you were on vacation when it was notified so it never got handled, you want to make sure that those are cleaned up. So if you check those and click apply, those ones that need still review will show up. Now if they're archived, they're most likely terminated, right? So when you go into that, you can clean up some of that information. Now, this will send the agents a note. So as you go through and clean up some of your loops, you may want to just notify the agents that they may be receiving some Dotloop notifications on old loops. And that's okay. Let them know that we're just cleaning up the dashboard, that they can absolutely go ahead and just ignore that. So cleaning up Dotloop, having it the status correctly and everything is good. But what really is going to affect Testimonial Tree is the actual status. So going into a loop, it's this status right here. Oops, and I probably need to start with something that's not archived already. So let me go back and get rid of my filters. So it's this status right here that will affect the Testimonial Tree feed. So when this is marked as sold, that's when the system knows to send that client a testimonial request. So if this property needed a review 3 months ago and it just got missed somehow, which happens, right? And you go back in and mark it as sold next week, it will send them a testimonial request. So if we're 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years past when that closed, we don't want to trigger those. So in that case, we want to make sure that our loops are cleaned up so that we're not sending through requests on properties that have closed in the past. So as soon as this status right here is marked as sold, that's when the system moving forward after next week will know to send that testimonial request to the client. If you mark it sold and then immediately mark it archived, those will automatically send the testimonial request as well. So that's why if you're cleaning up old loops and marking them as sold and archiving them, the system's still reading it as sold, because we know a lot of times as soon as it's sold, we archive them, right, to get rid of them off of our dashboard. So anything marked sold and anything sold archived after next week moving forward, we'll send the client that testimonial request. So that's why we're asking for these to kind of be cleared up now, so that doesn't happen after we launch with Testimonial Tree. Now, if you mark it withdrawn or terminated and then archived, no problem. Those will not be sent to Testimonial Tree. It's just that sold status right there. Let me see. I have another question. The loops of agents that are no longer with us should be archived, Julie. So we do need to keep that data because it is, broker-owned data, but you can archive those if they're no longer with us. And I hope that answered that question, but if not, feel free to unmute and we can talk through it. Jessica, Judy, if you're on, if there's anything else that you guys wanted to add.
The only thing I can add is that there's a lot of these statuses that can be done from that search screen. So it might just be quicker. For instance, if you turn your filter, or if you, there you go. Or if you turn your filters back on to see, a lot of them can be done from the drop down. You can archive them from there. You can change them to terminated. You can change them to a lot of things right from there. It just is a little quicker if you have a bunch that need to be updated.
Am I in the right view? I don't feel like I am. Compact.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, like she said, the more you can see, the faster it is to just click those drop downs and change those statuses.
Yeah, so you can archive it from there, and then you can change the type. The status of under contract can be changed. There's a lot you can do right from there without having to click into each one.
The reason you can't change the status on Vineyard is because it doesn't have a type. It has to have a type first. So yeah, that one you could.
Yeah, it's type, and then you can do the status, which is also important because it should really have a type if it's a listing. The active listing is going to be important down the road also. So just using those at the top, it is important to try to get used to using those.
I do have a quick question.
Sure, Amanda.
So just to make sure that I'm doing this correct, and I mean, even though I'm seeing it, but I just want to kind of dumb it a little down for me. So pretty much I'm going in filtering these. Now, can we use our closed listing deals to where like we're going back and putting in our closed deals, making sure that those are properly closed? Is that something we would want to do as well?
You mean like run a sold report out of Account Tech or something and then cross-check it?
It's not necessarily that. It's just that I was using my closed deals through our drive that of the properties from all the way from last year. Mm-hmm. So like what I started to do is I wrote down a list of just showing like what they were, because I was kind of still getting confused on this. So like take for instance my 2878 Bailey Road. One was stating that it was not submitted, and then one said sold and then closed and then need reviewed. Yeah, 2878 Bailey. So if you do a search, you get all these two right here. So one was not submitted and one is closed. So would I technically archive that and then make sure that these are properly closed correct? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, so in this particular one, you would want to go ahead and archive it because it's sold. Everything is correct on that. And then on this one that's not submitted, Jessica, does she need to submit it prior to archiving it?
No, because sometimes it's the title company that creates these. That's why using those filters, it is only the submitted ones that are going to come up.
Okay.
So you can just archive them if they're sold.
Okay.
Which you can do right from the screen right here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. Awesome. I just wanted to double verify, making sure I was doing it properly.
And then Michelle has two questions. I'm going to address the second one first. Should all sold deals be archived after being marked sold? I don't want to speak for the state of Ohio, but I do believe that that is the workflow here in Michigan. But we can definitely get clarification, Michelle, on that for the process in Ohio. Unless Joe's on. Is Joe happen to be on?
Yep, I'm
I
here.
don't,
So Joe,
Um,
Michelle's question was, should all sold deals be archived after being marked sold?
So typically I do not, just in case the agents need to go back. I used to do that when I first started as ASC here in Strongsville, and I did have a couple agents ask me not to. So I think it may be kind of up to your agents if they would prefer you to or not.
I also leave that up to the agents, Carrie. I mark them sold, but I let them archive them because a lot of times they do still use paperwork from it after.
Okay.
Ditto on the lakeshore.
Yeah, marking it sold will trigger that to testimonial tree though, but if they do archive it, that those two statuses are set.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
It does have to be marked sold though first.
Yes. So Joe's process, as he just explained, mark it sold but not archive it, absolutely, that would go to testimonial tree. So good question, Michelle, and thank you, Joe and Judy and Jessica for clarifying that. And-
So are we to understand that if they have not been submitted, then we don't even need to bother with them? It's only the ones that have been submitted?
Jessica, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, the reason that you really want to go through the ones that have been submitted is because occasionally you should be going through and running a search for yours to make sure that you're not missing any notifications and that things that were submitted, their listings and their contracts. And it's just a way to double check that the paperwork's been processed. If somebody needs to step in and fill in for the office, if somebody's sick, that's something they can go in and run a search with without having to be added on the notifications to get the paperwork for just a day or something. So going in and cleaning those up really is a good practice for down the road and for kind of ease of access for the system. As far as will it break this testimonial tree feed right now? No, but it is something we want to do pretty quickly with a couple of new things coming in with Dotloo feed. So,
and the thing with submit in the future is we're going to be able to monitor those as they get submitted. That's why we're mostly looking at the past ones at this point, because you'll get a notification if you get a new submit for review.
So really it's just about cleaning up that dashboard. So for Sarah's point there in Boyne, she has a lot of archived ones that are terminated, but that still needs review. So those are the ones that it does not affect testimonial tree, but it is nice to clean up your dashboard so that moving forward, you're starting basically from ground zero.
There will be more training on that, another training on that too, because each region, it does differ a little bit with statuses, and the statuses mean a little bit something different in each region. So it's going to be a more little regionalized training with that. With maybe the RSCs or something, but because that is how agents are notified if their loops are good on paperwork. It also notifies your commission specialist. There's a lot of reasons why those statuses of the folders should actually be updated as well.
Yeah, and that is a cleanup, Diane. So Diane in Westlake has a bunch that are sold but still need review. That will not affect testimonial tree, but that is part of that future cleanup that we're going to be hopefully getting this cleared up so that won't operate that way in the future.
Honestly, if they're closed, I mean, I would just approve them and make them something that's not going to screw up Terry's process or Aaron's process for closings. But they do need to be kind of cleaned up in there in order for that filter to work properly for somebody coming in. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's for a future state. So if somebody else was logging into your Dotloo, not on notifications, you'd be able to go to the filters and see what needs to be submitted or reviewed that was submitted, but not 2 years old. Sherry asked if an old transaction was marked sold, then an agent archives it later. Would that send another testimonial later? It'll trigger it when it first goes to sold. So if you, the feed is every so often. So if you mark it as sold like at 2 o'clock and then you archive it at 3 o'clock, maybe the testimonial tree will go at 4 o'clock. That's why sold archives will go. But if you mark it as sold on a Tuesday and the agent archives it the following Friday, it will not send a double testimonial request. Good question, Sherry. And if you guys want to sit down and have one-on-one dashboard cleanups for your dot loops, we can absolutely do that. We have Judy and Jessica. We have people in accounting that can help with that as well. And then Michelle asks, will Zap Coldwell Banker reviews move over to Testimonial Tree? So long story short, no. So we do know that Zap is going away at some point in 2022. And we've not seen a replacement product. But because we've already put a lot of our time and energy into our Moxie sites, we really wanted to give the agents a secondary platform in order to get reviews. So that's why we went with Testimonial Tree. And because it also syndicates all of those testimonials over to the Moxie sites, we felt that there's really good synergy between the two platforms. We're waiting to hear what the retirement plan is for Zap. We think there may be some sort of manual move over that we may have to do, as in like a copy paste, which we can do that into our Moxie sites, but we're not real sure what that looks like yet. We're waiting for more information from the brand. But a seamless shift from Zap over to Testimonial Tree, we're not anticipating. Most likely it'll be more of a manual move. But because we do know Zap is going away, that's why we want to launch Testimonial Tree, give our agents more control over their reviews, because it'll be a product that we are associated with and not the brand. So that is why we are partnering with Testimonial Tree now. So that's a great question, Michelle. Diane said that we have hundreds in 27, starting in 2017, with documents to review. So Diane, we may have to do a one-on-one. I do know that I got your emails before that you have a bunch in there, so we probably need to shore up that process and get that cleaned up and help you get that done for that office. So Joe, I don't know if you can reach out to Diane and maybe get a plan together. And then if you need any assist from us, just let us know. But it will not affect Testimonial Tree at this point, Diane. It's just more about getting that dashboard cleaned up in Dotloo. And yeah, Sarah and Boyne has the same thing as well. So Sarah, if you want to reach out to Jessica or to Judy, we can help you get that cleaned up. Good questions. What else have you guys got? All right, so two things, of course, if the status is marked sold, starting next week, that'll automatically send the request to the client for a testimonial review. Anything that is still needing review should be cleaned up for future state of using Dotloo. And again, you can do that from your filters right here. And if your filters don't look like the way you think they should look, just reach out and let us know, and we will make sure that we get those updated with Dotloo. And then you can always filter your view right here with grid view and list view, and that's how you can quickly update some of these statuses as well. Now, if you are cleaning up the not submitted, do know that that will send your agents an email. So just if you're doing cleanup, notify them ahead of time. Say, hey, I'm doing some cleanup. You may see some old emails. Just ignore. Same with your regional commission specialist. They should be notified as well. So we may need to notify them as well. Let's see. Anne out of Houghton, she said as soon as she selects a listing to review, it gives her a box to create a new filter. Judy, I'm not sure if you know off the top of your head what she means by that.
I don't. And if you want to do a quick meet after the call before I hit the road, because that doesn't sound familiar. So I kind of just need to see what you're seeing.
Or send her a screenshot.
That'll work too.
Great. And then Crystal out of East Grand Rapids asked, can the agents opt out of having this? And yes, they absolutely can. Anything that's 3 stars or less will not automatically show up on their websites or their social media sites. But if they choose to opt out of the platform completely, they have that option. If they want to opt out a single transaction, they can notify the help desk ahead of time and send them their client's email address, and then that will be blocked from going to that consumer. The agents will have an opportunity to log into their own platform with Testimonial Tree, as will you as staff and your managers, that they can look at these testimonials and tweak their settings, but the agents absolutely have the option to opt out if they choose to. And more to come tomorrow on BlueSync and then next week on our trainings on that. But good question, Crystal. Great. Like we said, more to come on the cleanup. We launched Dotloo. Ohio had it first, but it seems like we've had it for quite a while. So now it's just time to look at our processes, check what we've been doing, try to refresh it as best we can. And then moving forward, hopefully it'll be ease of use for our agents and ourselves. So if you have any ideas on any of that, feel free to reach out. We're always looking for better ideas and better processes. And thanks to Judy and Jessica for being our Dotloo experts. And I appreciate all your guys' time today. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let us know. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9:30 on BlueSync. Thanks so much, you guys. Appreciate it.